So I got something interesting for you, Adrian, for this week's episode of Mic'd In.
Oh, really? What is it? What is it? You know, I'm always like hyped for what we're doing on the podcast. So, yeah, tell me, what's up?
Before we get into it, I wanted to remind our audience to support our podcast by hitting the subscribe and like button. Okay, it's going to sound a bit out there, but what do you know about the Brian Thompson killing?
The UnitedHealthcare CEO? You mean from like December, almost half a year ago now? Wow, seriously? That's going to be a trip. I remember reading like bits and pieces about that case when it first broke, but wow, diving deep. Okay, yeah, I'm so in. What exactly are we looking at here?
Well, first, who even was Brian Thompson?
Okay, so Brian Robert Thompson, right, was like the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, which, it's a massive American health insurance company. He'd been in the role since April 2021, I believe. I mean, to get the ball rolling, these guys insure like nearly 50 million Americans.
Wow.
Yeah, wow is right. And they rake in, hundreds of billions in revenue every single year. I think it was like 281 billion, something like that in 2023.
That's a lot of money. So that's a really big job, obviously. What was his background before becoming CEO?
Well, he'd been with UnitedHealthcare for a while, since 2004, so he really climbed up the ladder. The thing is, well, prior to being CEO, he held several leadership positions within the company, dealing with strategy and operations, things like that. So he really knew the company inside and out. I think it's safe to say that he was really seen as well, as like a really experienced hand in the healthcare industry.
Uh-huh. So how did his leadership affect UnitedHealthcare?
Well, under his leadership, the profits of UnitedHealthcare really jumped. I mean, they went up from 12 billion in 2021 to like 16 billion in 2023. And the CEO's Thompson's total annual compensation, I think it was roughly 10 million.
10 million? That's insane.
Well, I'm sure, yeah, the responsibilities are insane too, right? So by the time of his death, I think it's safe to say that UnitedHealthcare was absolutely the largest health insurer in the United States, right?
Okay, so what happened? Can you tell us about the shooting itself?
Sure. So, yeah, this is like December 4th, 2024, right? Thompson was walking along West 54th Street in Midtown Manhattan, and, he was heading towards the New York Hilton Midtown. He was actually there for an annual United Health Group investors meeting, and, well, the thing is, the assailant was waiting across the street from the hotel.
Oh, wow, really?
I know, right? And the assailant was waiting for several minutes. So when Thompson was arriving at the entrance, the assailant just crossed over and fired, like 3 times.
Oh my gosh, Adrian, that's insane. What time of day was this?
Yeah, it was pretty early. I think it was around 6:45 a.m. Eastern Time. It was still dark out. Do you know what I mean?
Wow, so what did the police find at the scene?
Well, the initial reports said that the suspect was described as a white man wearing a mask. And, well, the police found 3 spent bullet casings and 3 ejected live rounds at the scene. The shooter struck Thompson in the back and in the right calf.
Oh my gosh, so this sounds really premeditated. What kind of weapon did they use?
So the authorities think it was what they call a ghost gun, a suppressed 9mm pistol, which had partially 3D printed parts. It consisted of, I believe, a 3D printed lower receiver, a metal slide, unserialized Glock 19 internals from a parts kit, including a threaded barrel, and a standard Glock magazine.
3D printed, so it was kind of like a DIY gun.
Yeah, the 3D printed part design was an iteration of the FMDA 19.2, released in 2021 by the libertarian group Deterrence Dispensed. And well, I mean, the closed-circuit television camera, what they call CCTV recording, actually showed the shooter manually cycling the gun after each shot. So the observers think that, well, the weapon might have been malfunctioning a little bit.
Okay, so who did they catch? Who was the suspect?
Yeah, so they arrested a 26-year-old guy, Luigi Mangione, in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and well, they charged him in a Manhattan court with Thompson's killing. And the authorities say that when they caught Mangione, he had a 3D printed pistol and a 3D printed suppressor, consistent with those used in the attack.
Wow, so another 3D printed gun? What was his motive?
Well, the investigation's still ongoing, but police believe that Mangione was, inspired by the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski and his Manifesto Industrial Society and its future. And it's believed that Mangione was also motivated by his own personal views on U.S. health insurance. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, wow. So like the Unabomber, what else did they find on him?
Oh, yeah, it's also a short handwritten letter criticizing the American healthcare system, an American passport, and multiple fraudulent IDs, and a false New Jersey ID.
So he was like planning this for a while? What was his deal with the healthcare system?
Well, yeah, so as of mid-December 2024, investigators were thinking that Mangione's, motive was ill will towards the health insurance industry. The police believe it was also related to an injury that Mangione suffered, which caused him to visit the emergency room in July 2023.
Oh, wow. So did he have problems with UnitedHealthcare specifically?
Oh, yeah, that's well interesting. Online photos posted by Mangione showed screws in his back, though, the identity of the person pictured isn't verified. And Mangione wrote online that he had spondylolisthesis, which is a lower back condition.
That's awful, but what did he actually say?
That's true. So Klippenstein published a transcription of the document, which, police said was found on Mangione, and the police confirmed it was legitimate. I've got the document here. It says, "To the feds, I'll keep this short, because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone."
So he acted alone?
Yeah, so it goes on. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, a lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there.
So an engineer with a grudge?
Well, he also wrote, "I do apologize for any strife of traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming." A reminder, the U.S. has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world. Yet we rank roughly number 42 in life expectancy. United is the largest company in the U.S. by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, Walmart. And, it just keeps going.
Wow.
I know, he says they continue to abuse our country for immense profit, because the American public has allowed them to get away with it. And that I am the first to face it with such brutal honesty.
Wow. So, what was the reactions from the public?
Oh, the reactions? So, Thompson's death, it received widespread attention in the United States, and it led to pretty polarized reactions, Several public officials expressed dismay and offered condolences to Thompson's family. Oh, but many used the event to call attention to the practices of the U.S. health insurance industry.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah. Opinion polls showed that American adult respondents are more likely than not to find the killing unacceptable, pretty naturally, right? But younger and more left-leaning respondents were more likely to view the killing as acceptable or to sympathize with the killer.
Wow, that's intense. So, what about on social media?
Oh, on social media, it's crazy. Reactions to the killing included widespread contempt and mockery towards Thompson and United Health Group, but also sympathy and praise for Mangione, and broader criticism of the American healthcare system and health insurance industry, mainly regarding claim denial practices,
So, really split down the middle?
Yeah, it's really divisive. And inquiries about protective services and security for CEOs and corporate executives surged following the killing.
Yeah, I bet. What about the politicians? Did they say anything?
Well, let me tell you. Public officials, like Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Senator Amy Klobuchar, they expressed dismay and offered condolences to the family. Walz even said he knew Thompson.
Oh, wow, really?
And Maryland State Delegate Nino Mangione, who's a cousin of Luigi Mangione, said, "Our family is shocked and devastated by Luigi's arrest. We offer our prayers to the family of Brian Thompson, and we ask people to pray for all involved."
Yeah, I guess what about bigger names like the White House?
Totally. So, the White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, said the government stated that violence to combat any sort of corporate greed is unacceptable. And Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro commented that some attention in this case, especially online, has been deeply disturbing, as some have looked to celebrate instead of condemning this killer.
Man!
Yeah, and at the time, President-elect Donald Trump also condemned the killing and called celebration of Mangione a sickness, and outgoing Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said that social media rhetoric about the killing was alarming and that it speaks of what is really bubbling here in this country. And, unfortunately, we see that manifested in violence, the domestic violent extremism that exists.
So pretty much everyone condemned it.
Oh, it's hard to say, like California Democratic House Representative Ro Khanna said, there is no justification for violence, Massachusetts Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren stated, the visceral response from people across this country who feel cheated, ripped off, and threatened by the vile practices of their insurance companies should be a warning to everyone in the healthcare system. Violence is never the answer, but people can be pushed only so far.
Whoa! Wow, that's like a lot to take in. This case seems like so complex, right? I mean, the healthcare industry, social discourse, everything. Thank you so much, Adrian, for all of your insights on this episode.
Oh, it's no problem. This case is really wild and the implications, they're huge for the healthcare industry and everything,
Absolutely. So that's all the time we have for today's episode, folks. Thank you for tuning in to Mic'd In. Adrian, it was great to have you as always.
Oh, you as well.
And make sure to join us next time for more discussions, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a like.